Hello everyone! How's it going? Hope everything is going perfectly well with you all. I'm Sheerin and I'm here to teach American English. Today's lesson is reading from More Classic Tales Storybook, Part 2. But before we start reading our story today, I'd like to revise quickly the 3 tales we took last time in Part 1. The first story was The Frog Prince. Characters: The Frog Prince, the Princess, and the King. Setting: King's Castle, a long time ago. The Frog Prince is a classical fairy tale which is about a prince who was cursed by an evil witch and turned into a frog. A good princess had to give him one desire in order to break the spell. Fortunately, the kingdom's youngest princess came to play near the lake every day, giving the frog another chance to become the prince once again. Story 2: The Fisherman and His Wife. Characters: the fisherman, his wife, and the magical fish. Setting: in an old hut by the seashore. It's a fairy tale about a wife that asks the impossible from her husband. He caught a magical fish. It was an enchanted prince who begged for his life. The fisherman let it go, but his wife asked her husband to go back again to the magical fish and asked it for 3 greedy, selfish wishes. His wife was never satisfied with what she had. Eventually, she lost everything and became poor again. Story 3: Rumpelstiltskin. Characters: the Miller's daughter, the Miller, the King, and Rumpelstiltskin. Setting: the King's Castle, a long time ago. It's about a mysterious gnome-like man who spends straw into gold for the benefit of a beautiful Miller's daughter in exchange for her future firstborn child. The little man appears to demand his payment when the young woman who became the queen bears her first child. After she begged him to release her from her thoughtless vow, he allowed her 3 days to find out his name, otherwise he would take her baby. Ultimately, she discovered his name and kept her little child safely with her.
Hello guys, how are you doing? Today's story is The Queen Bee, Chapter 8, Part 1. Once upon a time, there was a king who had 3 sons. The 2 older sons were handsome lads, but they were selfish, proud, and cruel. They made fun of the youngest son. They said he wasn't smart. They called him a dimwit. When the older sons were grown up, they set off on a trip. Alas, they soon fell into a wild and reckless way of living. It wasn't long until they had used up all their money and had no way to get home. The king and his 3 sons. The youngest son had stayed at home. Now he set out to find his brothers. Find them he did, but his brothers were cruel to him. When he said he wished to join them on their travels, they jeered at him and made fun of him. "Why would we take you with us?" asked the oldest brother. "What could a baby like you do for us, who are so much older than you?" "Why would we take you with us?" asked the second brother. "What could a dimwit like you do for us, who are so much smarter than you?" The youngest brother answered, "I will do what I can." The 2 older brothers made fun of the youngest brother. The next day, the 2 older brothers set off. The youngest brother followed a few steps behind them. They walked until they came upon a large anthill. "Let's get some sticks," said the oldest brother. "We can use them to destroy that anthill." "Yes," said the second brother. "It will be good sport for us to watch the ants running here and there, trying to save their eggs." The older brothers plucked branches from a tree, but the youngest brother wouldn't allow them to destroy the anthill. "Leave the ants in peace," he said. "I will not let you harm them." "Leave the ants in peace," said the youngest brother. So the 3 brothers walked on. They went on until they came to a lake where 2 ducks were swimming. "Let us catch those ducks and roast them," said the oldest brother. "Yes," said the second brother, "they will make a tasty snack." But the youngest brother wouldn't allow his brothers to kill the ducks. "Let the ducks be," he said. "I will not let you harm them." "Let the ducks be," said the youngest brother. So the three brothers walked on. They went on until they came upon a beehive in an old hollow tree. The beehive was full of honey. It was so full that the honey trickled down the trunk of the tree. "Let us make a fire and smoke out the bees," said the oldest brother. "Yes," said the second brother. "Once we have smoked them out, we will eat up their honey." But the youngest brother wouldn't allow his brothers to build a fire. "Leave the bees alone," he said. "I will not let you harm them." "Leave the bees alone," said the youngest brother. So the three brothers walked on until they came to an enchanted palace. A witch had cast a spell on the palace. She had transformed every living thing in it into statue. The stables were filled with stone horses. The rooms were filled with stone men. The brothers made their way through the palace. They peeked into few rooms. For a long time, they saw nothing but men and ladies of stone. At last, they came to a room with 3 locks and a small window. The brothers peeped in the window. They saw a little old man sitting at a table. They spoke to the man. The man didn't respond. The brothers spoke to the old man a second time. Still, he didn't respond. They called one last time. This time, the old man seemed to hear them. He didn't speak, but he stood up and walked over to them. His face was gray and stony, like a statue. The brothers saw rooms filled with statues. Without speaking, the old man locked the 3 locks and led the brothers to a table. The table was loaded with good things to eat. The old man motioned for the brothers to sit and eat. When they had eaten, he showed each of them to a bedchamber. The brothers soon fell asleep. The brothers slept soundly. The next morning, the old man came and woke up the oldest brother. Without saying a word, he led them to a table. On the table were 3 stone tablets. The tablets listed 3 tests that would have to be performed to break the spell. The old man pointed at the tablet on the left. It said, "In the forest, under some moss, lie 1,000 rubies. The rubies belong to a princess. You must find these rubies, but beware. You must find all of them. If even one of them is missing, when the sun sets, you will be transformed into statue." The old man showed the oldest brother the 3 tablets. Chapter 9. The Queen Bee, Part 2. The oldest brother set out to find the rubies. He found a mossy patch in the forest and began digging. He found a few of the rubies, but when the sun set, he had only 100 of the 1,000 rubies. So he was transformed into statue. The next morning, the old man woke up the second brother and showed him the tablet. The second brother went to look for the rubies, but he fared little better than his brother. He found only 200 rubies, and he, too, was transformed into statue. The next morning, the old man woke up the youngest brother and showed him the tablet. The youngest brother went to look for the rubies. He began to dig around under the moss. He found some rubies, but he soon saw that he would never be able to find all 1,000 of them. They were just too small. He sat down and began to weep. The youngest brother sat down and began to weep. As he sat crying, he saw something small crawling on the ground near his feet. It was the ant king, and there were 5,000 ants marching behind him. "You were kind to us," said the ant king. "You saved our ant hill when your brothers wanted to destroy it. Since you were kind to us, we wish to help you." So the 5,000 ants marched under the moss and began dragging out the rubies. One by one, the ants found the rubies, all 1,000 of them, and stacked them up in a neat pile. the ants found the rubies. The youngest brother thanked the ants. Then he took the rubies back to the palace and handed them to the old man. The old man took the rubies. Then he pointed at the tablet in the middle of the table. The tablet said, "At the bottom of the lake lies a key to the bedroom of the princess. You must find this key, but beware. If you fail to find the key by sunset, you will be transformed into a statue." The youngest brother went and stared at the lake. He couldn't swim. He waded into the water. He went in until the water was up to his chin. He felt around with his feet. Still, he couldn't find the key. The youngest brother felt around with his feet for the key. The youngest brother was about to give up when two ducks swam up. They were the two ducks he had saved on the way to the palace. "You were kind to us," said one of the ducks. "You saved us when your brothers wanted to roast us for dinner. Since you were kind to us, we wish to help you." Then the ducks began diving to the bottom of the lake. They bobbed up and down. After a few minutes, one of the ducks came up with the key in its mouth. The youngest brother thanked the ducks. Then he went back to the palace. He tried to hand the key to the old man, but the old man wouldn't take it. One of the ducks found the key. The old man pointed at the tablet on the right side of the table. It said, "The key that you have found will unlock a bedroom in the palace. In the bedroom, 3 princesses lie fast asleep. 2 of them ate candy after dinner. 1 of them ate honey. You must pick the one who ate honey, but beware, if you pick the wrong princess, you will be transformed into a statue." The youngest brother took the key and used it to open the bedroom. He saw the 3 sleeping princesses. All 3 were beautiful, and none of them had been transformed into a statue. The youngest brother could hear them breathing as they slept. Which one had eaten honey after dinner The youngest brother knelt by each princess and sniffed, but it was no use. One smelled as sweet as the next. There was no way to tell which one had eaten honey and which ones had eaten candy. Which princess ate the honey? As the youngest brother was trying to make up his mind, a bee appeared. It was the queen of the hive he had saved. "You were kind to us," said the queen bee. "You saved us when your brothers wanted to smoke us out. Since you were kind to us, I wish to help you." The queen bee passed from one sleeping princess to the next until she came to the one who had eaten honey. "This is the one," she said. "This is the one," said the queen bee. The youngest brother thanked the queen bee, and the bee fluttered away. The three sleeping princesses awoke. At the same time, all of the men and ladies who had been transformed into statues came back to life. The two older brothers came back to life as well. The spell had been broken. The youngest brother married the youngest and sweetest of the three princesses, the one who had eaten the honey. His older brothers married the other two princesses, the ones who had eaten the candy. When the old king died, the youngest brother and his princess were crowned king and queen of the land. The two of them lived happily ever after. The youngest brother married the princess who had eaten the honey. So, we have finished our story today. Hope you liked it so much. Take care and see you next time. Peace out. Hello guys, how are you doing? Today's story is Rapunzel, Chapter 10, Part 1. Once upon a time, there was a woman who wished to have a child. Her husband shared this wish. However, for a long time, the woman couldn't have children. She and her husband wished and hoped and prayed for a child. But for some reason, the child never came. The husband and wife wished for a child. Now in the back of their house, there was a window. From the window, the man and his wife could see a lovely garden. It was filled with beautiful flowers and lush green plants. There were tomatoes and peppers in the garden. There were clumps of lettuce and another leafy plant called Rapunzel. Around the garden was a tall stone wall, and no one dared to enter the garden, for it belonged to a wicked witch with evil powers. One day, the wife stood at the window and looked down into the garden. She saw the Rapunzel. It looked so fresh and green. She felt that she simply must have some. Day after day, she looked out the window. She longed for the Rapunzel. She became sadder and sadder. The wife looked out her window at a garden. The woman's husband saw her sadness. "Dear wife," he asked, "what is the matter?" "Oh, husband," said the woman, "I simply must have some Rapunzel to eat. It grows in the garden behind our house. If I can't get some, I fear I will die." The man frowned. He wasn't a thief, but he thought, "I can't let her die. I will get her some Rapunzel. The old witch has so much of it. She will not know if I take just a little." That night, the man crept over the stone wall. He slid down into the garden. Then he picked a bunch of Rapunzel and took it back to his wife. The husband crept into the garden. The wife was delighted when she saw the Rapunzel. She ate a big bowl of it. She said it was the best food she had ever eaten. The husband was happy. "Well," he said, "that's the end of that." a ball of Rapunzel. Rapunzel, Part 2, Chapter 11. The next day, the wife found that she was still craving Rapunzel. In fact, she was craving it 3 times as much. "Husband," she said, "I enjoyed that Rapunzel so much. It was so good. Would you get some for me again?" The husband was annoyed. He didn't like stealing, but it gave him joy to make his wife happy. He stood and thought. At last the man said, "I'm glad that the Rapunzel brings you joy. I will go to the garden again, but this is the last time." The wife begged for more Rapunzel. So the man sneaked into the garden again. He picked some Rapunzel and started to leave. Just then, he saw the blazing eyes of the witch. "How dare you steal my Rapunzel?" The witch growled. "You will pay dearly for this, you thief." The man dropped the Rapunzel. He fell to his knees. "I beg you," he called out, "have mercy on me." The witch just frowned. "I beg you," the man said. "I had to do it. You see, my wife was looking out our window and saw your Rapunzel. She told me that she would die unless I got her some. So I had to get her some." The man begged for mercy. "Well then," the witch said, "I will make a deal with you. I will allow you to pick as much Rapunzel as you want, on one condition. When your wife has a child, you must give the child to me. I will take care of the child like its very own mother." The man was scared. Also, he was starting to think his wife might never have a child. So he said yes. After that, he tried not to think about it. However, some months later, his wife had a lovely baby. Not long after, the witch appeared and took the child away. The witch arrived to take the child away. The witch named the child Rapunzel. When Rapunzel was 12 years old, she was very beautiful. The witch took her deep into a forest and locked her in a tall tower. The tower had no steps and no gate. The only way to get in was a small window near the top of the tower. When the witch wanted to be let in, she would call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel had long, beautiful hair that shone like gold. When the witch called up to her, she would open the window. She would let her hair fall down, down, down to the ground, far below. Then the witch would take hold of the hair and lift herself up to the window. Rapunzel let down her hair. Rapunzel, Part 3, Chapter 12. Rapunzel spent years locked away in the tower. In all that time, no one came to see her. No one except the witch. Then one day, a prince was riding through the forest. As he rode, he could hear a voice singing. It sang so sweetly that he stopped his horse so he could hear it better. It was Rapunzel up in her tower. She was trying to drive away her loneliness with sweet songs. The prince wanted to see who sang so well. He rode to the tower. He looked for a way to get in, but he could find none. The prince looked for a way to get in the tower. The prince rode home, but he was never quite the same after that day. Rapunzel's song had entered his heart. He was haunted by it. He couldn't stop thinking about it. Day after day, week after week. He went back to the tower to hear Rapunzel singing. Once the prince was standing behind some trees when the witch appeared. The prince watched as the witch called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." He saw how the maiden in the tower let down her long golden hair, and how the witch lifted herself up and went into the tower. "So there is the ladder," the prince said to himself. "Well, then I will go up the ladder too." The prince watched the witch lift herself up into the tower. The next day, the prince came back. He called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The maiden let down her hair. The prince took hold of it with both hands and made his way up the tower. Rapunzel was frightened when she saw the prince. She had never seen a man or even a boy, but the prince was kind to her. He told her how her singing had entered his heart and brought him such joy. He told her that he felt he could have no peace until he had seen her. Then Rapunzel wasn't afraid. The prince made his way up the tower. The prince asked if he could visit Rapunzel again. Rapunzel agreed. The prince came again and again. He and Rapunzel fell in love. One day, the prince got down on one knee. He asked Rapunzel to run away with him and be his wife. Rapunzel took his hand in hers and spoke to him. "I will gladly go with you," she said, "but I must get out of this tower. Do this for me. Each time you come, bring a bundle of silk. I will make a ladder of the silk. When the ladder is finished, I will use it to get down from this tower. Then you can carry me away from here on your horse." The prince asked Rapunzel to be his wife. Rapunzel. Chapter 13. Part 4. The prince came to visit Rapunzel again and again. Each time he came, he brought a bundle of silk. Rapunzel began to weave a ladder. Things went on this way for 2 weeks. Then Rapunzel made a mistake. One day, the witch was tugging on Rapunzel's hair and making her way up the side of the tower. Without thinking about what she was saying, Rapunzel called out, "Why do you come up so slowly? The prince takes only a moment." "The prince?" howled the witch. "Oh, you wicked, disloyal child! I thought I had hidden you away in this tower. Now I see that you have traded me for a man." The prince visited Rapunzel again and again. The witch grabbed Rapunzel and cut off her hair. Then she drove Rapunzel out of the tower. She left her to wander in the forest, sad and alone. Later that day, the prince came. He called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The witch let down the hair she had cut off. The prince went up, but at the top he didn't see his dear Rapunzel. Instead, he saw the frowning witch. The witch cut off Rapunzel's hair. "Aha!" the witch cackled. "You came to see your darling, but the sweet maiden is no longer in her tower. You will never see her again." Then the witch let go of the hair. The prince fell and crashed into a patch of thorns below. The fall didn't kill him, but it left him wounded. The sharp thorns cut his eyes and left him blind. The prince wandered for years, blind and alone. He ate only roots and berries, and he wept over the loss of his dear Rapunzel. The prince fell from the tower. At last, after years of wandering, the prince came to a meadow where Rapunzel herself was wandering. He couldn't see her, but he could hear her singing. He let his ears lead him to her. He followed her voice. At last, Rapunzel saw the prince. She ran to him. She fell on his neck and wept. When her tears touched his eyes, his wounds were healed. He found that he could see as well as ever. The prince took Rapunzel to his kingdom. There, she was welcomed with great joy, and there the two of them lived happily ever after. The prince and Rapunzel found each other. So, we have finished our story today. I hope you liked it a lot and hope you enjoyed it so much. Don't forget, please, to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, like my page on Facebook. And if you would like, you can share my video and like it. You can also write a comment below and tell me if you liked our story today or not. And what do you think of it? Don't forget to click the button below for more notifications whenever I upload a video. See you next time. Peace out.